Hi, and welcome to the FARcast. I'm Alex Helmbrecht, and I'm joined by my co-host, Daniel Binkard. Our guest for today is Micah Smith, an assistant coach who is also the offensive coordinator for the Chadron State College football team. Micah, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So fans of CSC athletics, and in particular the football team, are probably fairly familiar with your background because of your dad, Brad Smith, and in his role with the football team, and then as a coach, and then as the athletic director. So tell us, what was it like growing up in Chadron? Everyone knew who you were, and then what's it like being back now, kind of as a professional, working at the same place that you saw your dad work at for so long?
Growing up in Chadron, kind of everybody knew who you were because, it's, living in a town this size and had its benefits as a kid. I could go wherever I wanted. If I got lost, somebody find me and take me back to my parents. And then it kind of has its downfalls too of everybody knows who you are. And if you do something wrong, then, that everybody knows you did something wrong. But it's a great place to grow up. And I looking back on it, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And, that was kind of a deciding factor on why I decided to go for the job when it opened, was because I wanted my kids to live in that kind of area where they can walk to school and not have issues and not have to, go to a private school, or because the school system, the school district is very well ran here. And, that's something that I wanted for my family that I could give the chance to provide for them.
Now, have you ever had any conversations? I'm sure you've had conversations with your dad about coaching, but did you ever have any conversations with your dad about, maybe one day I'll coach at CSC?
Not really. My dad is what I would probably consider my mentor. Or he is what I looked up and what I wanted to be. I got into this profession because of him. I saw the way that he impacted young men's lives, and that's what I wanted to do. And so when I've chose that profession, he kind of never ever said, hey, this is what you should do. I have always asked him whenever I made a decision to go somewhere or do something else, or whenever I had the opportunity to do something else and go a different place, I've always asked him what he thought. And he's always told me that whatever he says is not the end all say. I'll do what I'm saying. He said, I'm just throwing my perspective out there of how I would approach it, or how, it might affect your career, or do things like that. And so, we have those conversations a lot. And we never had the conversation about me coming back to Chadron, though. That was never. It was just kind of wherever this profession will lead me, it'll lead me. Just as long as I'm in a place where I can impact young men and help them, grow up and find their passion, what they're passionate about, like how it was done for me, then that's, that was my ultimate goal.
Certainly.
Micah, what are some of the changes you've seen on campus from the time you were a student up to now?
Well, the Klein Center's gone.
We missed that one. Oh yeah,
that's one that I came back and I kept driving down 10th Street and I said, there was something there. And then I remember that it was the Klein Center from when I went to school. Athletically, from an athletic standpoint, I can't remember. Coach Long tells our recruits whatever X millions of dollars that have been put into the athletic facilities, and that's awesome for us. I think that's awesome overall for a school. Especially for a smaller school that, in a smaller town where you have to have something to do. It gives kids a chance to go to basketball games and football games and things like that. So athletic facilities with the new stadium, the Coin building, the new track, the Rangeland Management Building, the what are those, Eagle's Nest? Is that right up there?
Eagle Ridge.
Eagle Ridge. I have not yet got in the Rangeland Management Building. I need to do that. I just haven't wandered off up to there. Mm-hmm. And then now with the new math and science building, which is, I think that's a big thing for us football-wise, because we do have a lot of guys who go into that math and science program, whether it be part of our hop or to get into the medical profession, to be a PA, to be a chiropractor. Craig Kaiser, who we were just talking about a little bit ago, he was in the geoscience program. So, we do have a lot of those guys on our football program, to where if you're going to be spending a lot of time in the building that you're going to be in, then that's, something that you want to be nice. And so that would be a really nice addition to campus.
Yeah. I like that the Klein Center typically pops up in these interviews, Daniel.
It's one of my favorite buildings that no longer exists.
Yeah, it looks nice. It's what's that? that Tracy Chapman song, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. That's exactly what
There's a
happened to
parking lot.
the Klein Center.
You know,
So,
I don't go out there often enough and stand in the spot where my office would have been, like this slot here. I should do that. It seems like a good. It's been 10 years. It has been 10 years since they started tearing that last half down.
maybe this summer we can go draw a chalk outline or something.
Get a good reminiscence.
Well, it had kind of extended its useful life there at the end of it, but I don't know how many square foot that building was, but it was huge.
And
there
it
was like
weren't a
3
lot of us in
people
there.
it. One person on each floor. You kind of mentioned you never necessarily thought about that you would come back to coach at your alma mater because, I don't know, to me, I'm not a coach, but it seems like it's kind of one of those professions. You just kind of go where it takes you.
Mm-hmm.
And things usually work out, and they work out well when you're successful. But I'm kind of more interested. I believe your dad was more of a defensive coach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So where'd you get the offensive bug? I know you played offense when you played at CSC.
Yeah. So Dad was kind of both. He'll probably be mad at me because I'll call him a jack of all trades, the master of none. He's pretty good at both though. And early on in his career, and not early on, probably about when I was born in Macomb, Illinois, he was at Western Illinois, and he was on the defensive side of the ball. His head coach that he'd been working for left. New head coach came in and brought my dad's brother along with him. Kept my dad, but made my dad's brother the defensive coordinator, moved my dad to offense. And so my dad moved to offense. Then when he came to Chadron, he kind of stuck on that side of the ball a little bit. But he as a head coach, he kind of bounced around a little bit and just helped wherever's needed as you need to do at a small college. With a limited staff, especially back then. We're very blessed now to have the size of staff that we have. But and so then when I went to school, I was recruited heavily by 2 schools, really, Chadron and UNO, Nebraska Omaha. And Kearney may have recruited me, but those probably got thrown away.
By you or by your dad?
My dad. And so UNO had recruited me to play defense. And that's they were probably in the lead a little bit for me to go to UNO because I wanted to play defense. That's what I wanted. That's what I thought I'd be better at. That's what, my dad's kind of like, no, you're playing offense. And so when I finally made my decision to come to Chadron, and that was, I was really happy with that, and I wouldn't change anything about it. And so I was on the offensive side of the ball. So then when I went to GA, I worked into me to where I just stayed on the offensive side of the ball. And I had an opportunity. I thought about maybe about halfway through. I've been coaching now in college for 13 years, about 5 or 6 years into it. I had an opportunity to possibly go be a defensive GA at a Division I school. And that was what I was planning on doing. And then I got offered a position coach at a Division I school to coach tight ends at Eastern Illinois. And so that was, I'll be a full-time or go be a GA again. I was like, well, I'll take the full-time job. And so so I stayed on the offensive side of the ball. But I've always wanted to kind of go work the defensive side of the ball until now. Now it's kind of where I want to be as an offensive coordinator. But, one of the things I try to do as an offensive coordinator is sit in with our defensive staff. I was very fortunate when I was at Eastern Illinois to work with 2 really good defensive coordinators. Kane Womack is the head coach at University of South Alabama, a Division I school now, and Mike Hodges is the linebackers coach for the New Orleans Saints. So you get a chance to work with 2 guys like that, and I could see that they were very intelligent. And I would always try to go in their office and sit down and talk with them and, just kind of figure out and pick their mind from a defensive standpoint. What are you guys trying to do? That way I can compare it to what I'm trying to do. And it's the same here with Coach Sassy. I'll go sit with Coach Sassy and Coach Furrier, and, I'll kind of just try to pick their mind, what they're trying to do. And that helps me figure out ways that I want to attack defenses and things like that. So it's been I've had a fortunate ride of working with really good coaches on both sides of football.
Oh, definitely. I think as an outsider and as a non-athletic person, what I think is interesting, and Daniel, maybe you do too, is because we kind of talk about how we work in the field we work.
Yeah.
But I always am so encouraged when I hear about coaches, they just visit with one another. They just talk. Like, even though you may be competitors, if you're not having a game that week or you don't have a game scheduled that year or whatever, like a lot of times it's kind of an open door policy. If you want to come in and chat about what we're doing, just come on in. I think I think that is kind of rare in the workplace.
Yeah, it is. Because here's one thing that probably you don't do at your guys' workplace that we do. We get filmed with what we're putting on, and so everybody's going to see it anyways. So people are going to steal your stuff. I'll admit to you right now that I did not make up anything that is in our offense. And maybe I took something and switched it and changed it up a little bit to fit how I want it to fit, or tinkered with it here. But all of my stuff is not an original idea. It came from somebody else, from something I saw on film, from something I see on Twitter, from something I see wherever it may be. It's not my original idea. I try to mold it into more of my idea and what fits what we do. But that's, and not everybody else gets to walk around and put exactly what their work is on film or TV or wherever it may go. So,
yeah. Well, that's true. And the creative side for us, yeah. We're always taking inspiration. We hope others will take some inspiration if we're doing a good thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you try to take it, you make it your own. You put your own spin on it. Micah, let's see here. So the first year as the offensive coordinator here has to have been a strange one with the pandemic. What were a few of the ways you made it work for you and the players?
Well, first off, it has been really weird, really strange. We went without seeing our team in a whole. I can't remember. I think last year marks a year from when we told kids to go home.
Right.
And that was about a week ago or so, maybe a little.
Yeah, it was spring break, but spring break was earlier this year. So it's been a year.
So it's been about a year. And we probably went about 4 or 5 months without seeing our guys, which is a really long time without seeing our team in a full. And so we had to create ways to keep in contact with them and do some things. We did a lot more Zoom meetings and, try to figure out ways we all have groups, our position groups are on Snapchat to where, like if you walk and do something for the day, take a video of it and send it to the Snapchat so guys see what you're doing and how you're trying to get better and things like that. And then we're very fortunate here at Chadron to I feel live in a very good state where, Governor Ricketts has done a very good job, I feel, with the whole pandemic, and he made, education and athletics within that a very important deal. And when we kind of said, like, and the NCAA kept kind of pushing that, the NCAA would set a marker, and then they would push that marker back a week, and then they push it back again, and they kept making it harder and harder for us to be able to kind of do what we do as a profession. And Governor Ricketts, every time that and Dr. Ryan also, and, just from our administration, from the top down, is every time that marker got kind of pushed back, it was more of okay, how do we do it? How do we get it done? And Governor Ricketts came in and said, well, we'll supply the tests and, we'll do all that. You guys supply the nurses to give you the tests. And so I was very, very fortunate to where that is, we were allowed that, or a lot of people weren't allowed that. I think Mesa was the only Colorado school to play a football game this fall. We were one of 10 or 11 Division II schools to play a game this fall. And that was all because of the administration, because of, our government structure in Nebraska and how much they saw how important it was for us to be able to do that. Probably another big change for us was, not every day do I get to say, or probably not, hopefully for the rest of my life, I don't have to say after a year or so that I don't have to have something shoved up my nose every week. So
that's a plus.
That'd be a plus. I gladly do it because that's what gets us to be able to play. Not saying I like doing it, but I'll gladly do it.
Yeah, it's a pretty uncomfortable 10 seconds.
It is.
Yeah. So sounds like you did a pretty good job of staying in contact with fellow coaches and players. How'd you recruit? How did you even go about that? Because isn't there, if like the last fall doesn't count towards the student's eligibility, I think how I understood it. And then, so are you still recruiting to try to I know that you're bringing players in and all that, but what was that all about?
It's been crazy. The first part probably goes back to, Dr. Ryan and Joel and the people at Chadron State and the administration down of it all comes down to scholarships and whether you have enough scholarships or not. Those kids who are going to return, who would have graduated last year, And their scholarships don't count against you, but you also still have to have the scholarship money to be able to do it. And so for us to be in a situation, a place where we are as a school, and to be able to, continue to offer scholarships, when there were schools, I know Slippery Rock in Pennsylvania was a Division II school, wasn't allowed to offer a scholarship. And I don't know, this is coming from secondhand, and I don't know for sure, but there was multiple places that I heard that where they just weren't able to offer scholarships because they didn't have the money, or they had to fundraise it, or whatever it may have been. But we were very fortunate to, we're in a situation to where, everybody wants to make it work for you and wants to do what's best for the program and the students. And so we had some scholarship money, so we were able to go out and recruit and do what we think we need to do to get better. The biggest thing probably and recruiting has changed a lot since I was a kid, since I was in high school, since I was recruited. It's turned more into online anyways. The one thing that we lost that was usually kind of a major thing was we didn't have the ability to go see kids in school. We didn't have the ability to go to do home visits with kids and sit down and meet their families, but neither did anybody else. So the playing field was level there. It became more of an online recruiting, which nowadays is what people do anyways. Everybody's film is on Huddle, so their film's online. I'd say probably 95% of them all have Twitter. And that's kind of the way that that's kind of the way that recruiting's moving and has been moving. The kids nowadays want to see what kind of facilities you have, how good's your program, what graphics are you going to send me on Twitter that I can put up, and that's the way it's moved into, and that's what it is. What it is, and not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just the way you have to recruit kids, and I don't know. Not very often do I run into a kid whose preferred way to communicate is by talking on a telephone. Majority of them would rather just direct message through Twitter or text. That's kind of just so. If the pandemic would have hit in 2000, I don't know how they would have recruited. I don't know what they would have done.
That's a good point.
It would have been a completely different stage. But the fact that it hit when it hit, it allowed for. That's the way recruiting was going anyway. So it didn't really affect that much. Besides the in-person stuff, being able to see a kid in school and being able to meet with a family and sit down in their home and have conversations that they might have questions about. But then Zoom replaced that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So we've got a little bit of action to look forward to this spring, and then this fall, hopefully things will be a little bit closer to normal. What can we expect from the offensive side or just the team in general?
One thing we preached the three big words: tough, smart, and physical, and how that hits a kid and how that it's different in every aspect of what they do, whether it's academically or it's athletically, or it's within their family home structure and things like that. And those are three big words that we push. We want our kids to be tough, and that's Chadron has a toughness about it. I feel like since my dad came in the late 80s, that started, and I can't speak for my father, but I know one of my dad's big things that he preached was about being tough, and that's who Chadron was. We're a small town in northwest Nebraska. There's more cattle in our county than there are humans, and there's more ranch land than any other land, and doesn't matter when you come into the town. It doesn't matter if you're from this area or not. If you want to make it here, you're going to take on that persona. So we still preach that. And then smart, that's for me offensively, it comes down into from the athletic side of it is about execution. That's one of the big things that I push is that our guys execute. You can be offensively is a lot different than defense. Defensively, one guy can go out and make a play, and we can't block one guy and he keeps making a tackle for a loss or he pressures the quarterback or whatever it may be. Offensively, if you want to have big plays, you got to have 11 guys doing the right thing and executing. So we preach execution, and then physical. From a physical standpoint, we're going to be able to push people around, and I have a lot of different backgrounds in coaching. Like I said, I've been doing this for 13 years. I worked for 7 different offense coordinators in those 13 years. So I have a lot of different backgrounds. And the one thing that I've always noticed that is a common denominator of when you're a good offense is when you're physical. And so we're going to be physical. And that kind of goes back into toughness, and then And then going into the smart thing, I think one thing that our guys do a very good job of is it's not just, it's off the field smart and, being able to understand that they had to give up some of their college life, some of their college experiences that everybody else got to go through. I got to go through them. You got to go through them. And they have to give up some of those experiences right now because of the pandemic. And so that falls into being smart. And, you can't go out and can't do this. Got to kind of avoid people a little bit because we're going to get tested weekly. And if you test positive, now you're hurting the team. And so we've really pushed the smart one a lot about that. And also the falls into tough because it's mentally tough too. Are you mentally tough to be able to give up something that every other college kid gets to have? And I think that's a big guy. Our guys took a big jump in that as that kind of that learning curve of how are we going to get through this? How are we going to play games? Has kind of come to fruition for us.
And are there any games planned for the spring?
Right now we're gonna scrimmage Northern Colorado. I don't know what that exactly looks like, but we're gonna go down there April 10th, and we're just gonna make a day trip out of it. Head down, get there around noon. Then we'll practice, and it's more probably if you watch Hard Knocks on HBO, it'll be probably more like a joint practice than anything else, to where it just breaks up the monotony of banging on each other all spring. And then April 24th, we're going to have another one with Wayne State. They're going to come to Chadron, and the same thing. It's going to be, we're going to have some scrimmage and things like that. I believe they're doing the Hall of Fame induction stuff at that time that they didn't get a chance to do in the fall. And so I think they're going to make a good day out of it, to where, the people can get out, get in the stands, get some vitamin D, feel the breeze a little bit, and hopefully see some good football.
Absolutely.
Now, Daniel, I don't know. This was an event that you likely never covered because I was the SID, and it was in the summer and wouldn't have been in your realm. But Micah often played on the most entertaining golf team at the Don Beebe Golf Classic over Memorial Day weekend.
Good.
Yeah. And you know how Tiger Woods has his Sunday red. Micah would often have his Sunday outfit. And
good.
So for those who don't know, you've got some very interesting sartorial choices. Do you got anything planned for the sidelines this fall?
That's not really. Probably more because I don't want to deteriorate from the kids. That golf game's mine, so I can bring my personality out a little bit more. And I'm not quite as flashy when it comes to game day attire. I like to look good. I like to look nice. But my golf game is where my golf game's not very good, so I got to at least entertain in one way or another.
Some of my favorite moments from Chadron are during those golf tournaments. I never got to play in that, which was fine because I'm a terrible golfer. But cruising around in a golf court with the late great Brent Bargan and following Micah and his buddies around, it was so funny because they were never winning. You were never in contention. But maybe a couple times.
Last year we were. 2 years ago in the 18, we had.
You were close. That's right.
We were second going into day two, and there we may have partaken in a few too many festivities the night before and did not come out as good as we should have on day two. So,
but it's so funny because the teams that are winning, they'd have like 2 or 3 golf carts after them. Micah's squad would have a gallery of like 8 carts following them. It was
we're an entertaining group, and we will be this year. The BB will be back on.
That'll be fun.
I have the honor of being on that committee. And so, we've talked about what we need to do to make it safe for the pandemic, but also what we can do to bring, back that event that so many people, I think, enjoy coming back to Chadron for. Yeah. So our team will be out there.
A lot of good memories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question. Tell us a little bit about your life outside of football.
Right now I got 2 daughters. I got a daughter that's going to turn 3 on the 30th. And then I have another daughter that will turn 5 months. April 3rd, and so we'll be celebrating a birthday coming up, and that takes up a lot of time, and I enjoy it. I really do, especially at the younger stages. I think that, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong for all men, and it's different for everybody, which I'm sure it is. For me, the younger stages were kind of like, it just lays there, it doesn't do much. You got to pick it up. You got to feed it. It sleeps. It does all that. Change it. But as my older daughter's gotten older, it's become fun because she wants to go out and kick the ball. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. And so that's always so that's become a bigger part of my life, is being able to go home and hang out with her. I golf, not as much as I'd like to. We don't get a ton of time. Last summer, probably the most I golfed in a really long time because of the pandemic. We didn't have our summer camps in June and all that. So I golf more than I have in the past. And then I enjoy doing stuff around the house, the do-it-yourself projects. Right now I'm redoing our basement, I ripped up all the carpet and I'm sanding down the cement floors and I'm thinking about putting a bar in down there and doing some stuff. So I enjoy that also. And then I just enjoy time with family and doing those kind of things. So
Great. Well, Micah, we've reached that point in the interview where we ask you 5 questions, and just the first thing that comes to the top of your head, let it rip.
you got it.
So, Micah, what's a favorite video game of yours?
I'll probably go the original God of War. I enjoyed the original God of War. That was a good game.
Yeah.
And they've remade it. And I just haven't played video games much since I've gotten older. And so the God of War one is one that they've done a couple times, I think. Now, I've never had the chance to play the other ones yet. Maybe as my daughter gets older, I'll get her involved in video games.
Might want to wait till she's a teenager
for the God of War one. I'm going to have to push the God of War one back a little bit. But.
That's only a good bonding activity. What's a hidden talent of yours?
Hidden talent. I feel like most of my talents are pretty out there. I don't know if it's necessarily a hidden talent. I'm pretty good at about any yard game. Any yard game I pick up, I usually pick up pretty quick and am fairly decent at it. I'm maybe not the best it's going to be at the place, but I'm definitely going to be not the worst. So,
all right.
What's the best advice you received as a college student?
I know Dr. Cartwright. Dr. Cartwright was a very influential person for me, especially just from an education and just a kind of guy that for me, understood it as your life is not a student. Your life is a life. Being a student is what was going to push you into what you were born to do and what you were, And so I really respected Dr. Cartwright, and he said to me one time, I was not the best writer in the world, and can't remember what English class or what literature class I was in of his, and he said, write what you feel, say what you mean. And, and that's always kind of stuck with me throughout life, whether I'm writing something or, when I'm talking to somebody, don't beat around. Basically, to me, what he's saying was don't beat around the bush. And I really enjoyed Dr. Cartwright's. I didn't get a chance to see him after he had retired really that much. And, he passed away, I think, 2015?
Yeah, it was a
years.
while ago. It's been a few years.
Yeah. And, so he was a man who really made a huge impact on my life. And I think touched the lives of a lot of kids that have come through Chadron State. Because he was just a genuine human.
Yep.
And he understood that English wasn't everybody's major and that I'm going to help you along the way. I'm going to make you do the work and I'm going to make you put the work in. But along the way, and then at the end of the day, he understood that not all of us were in there. We're going to go on to be graduate to be literature scholars or English scholars, and that that really meant a lot to me because I was an athlete, and not always as an athlete do you get justly seen as just a normal student, and you're not a normal student because you put in a lot of hours lifting and doing things, and then study hall and all that. And he understood that, and he understood that a lot of us needed that help to be able to make that translate into what means something to us in life. So
yeah, was a great man. Certainly had a big influence on me too. And man, he would have been a great podcast guest.
Yeah, he would have. The ones we've missed.
Yep.
Micah, favorite book or author?
Michael Scott is one of them. Not Michael Scott from The Office.
That would be a good book.
He writes. I'm kind of a good. I mean, my choice of video game is God of War. And so I like the fantasy stuff. Even if I'm going to read something, it's usually fantasy. And Michael Scott writes books. He's got his books are called The Immortal Secrets of the Nicholas Flamel is his big series. I think it's a seven book series or something like that. It's very good books. Might be, people ask me, if somebody asked how old is the person reading this book, I'm probably a little bit above that, what they're going to say. And then I'm a big fan of Dan Brown too. I like Dan Brown's books. That's probably Dan Brown's books were the ones that really kind of got me into reading. The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons. Those were the ones that kind of really got me into reading. So
Nice. Last but not least, Micah, what is one word that comes to your mind when you think of Chadron State College?
Tough. Because the tough falls into there's going to be tough love. There's going to be tough people. You're going to be taught to be tough. And that's just the communities. They're tough people, and not to say that in a way of they're going to turn you away or they're going to run you out of town, but that's just the way they're brought up, and with that they're gonna teach you to be tough, or it's gonna be they're gonna teach you to be tough, and you're gonna make it. And that's the thing that is, because people here when they're tough on you, they care about you, and so that's one thing to me probably that sticks out is just it's tough.
Oh, I think that's a good answer, and it's certainly one we haven't heard yet.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Very unique. But thank you for taking time with us today, Micah. It's certainly been a fun conversation, and wish you best of luck in the spring, even though the games don't technically count.
Yeah.
And certainly good luck in the fall. We hope we can have a regular football season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. And I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a good time. Got to talk about Dr. Cartwright for the first time in a long time, so that was
Yeah, he's always a great guy to talk about.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.